Hey family, welcome back to the channel where faith meets purpose and purpose meets provisions. Now, let me ask you a very bold question. Did Jesus really die to make you rich? I know, I know. That question alone probably triggered a lot of people. I know it probably didn't trigger you in a good way either. But hang with me because we're about to unpack something straight from the Word. And I promise it's going to shift the way you think. It's going to shift your whole mindset, your whole paradigm. Okay, let's go. You turn to 2 Corinthians, the 8th chapter, and the 9th verse. And it says, "For you know the grace of our Lord Jesus Christ, that though he was rich, yet for your sake he became poor, so that you through his poverty might become rich." Think on that. You see, that's not a prosperity preacher. That's not a wealth coach. That's the Apostle Paul giving you Bible straight up Bible. So what does rich even mean? Let's look at that word. Now let's be real. When most people hear the word rich, their minds jump straight to private jets, Lamborghinis, and designer belts with price tags that are much bigger than even your house note or your rent. So let's bring it back to the original Greek. The original Greek word. The word rich here is the word pluteo, Plouteo, which literally means to be wealthy, to have abundance, to be richly supplied. Now, this isn't just about stacks and stacks of money or stacks and stacks of cash. It's about access, abundance, and assignment. Let me say that again. Access, abundance, and assignment. Riches in the kingdom equals access to all of God's resources. Abundance for every good work and provisions for your kingdom assignment. You know, I really wish you would go and just read that entire 8th chapter of 2 Corinthians. Read all of it because Paul would really give you a good idea of what it means to be wealthy in the kingdom. The whole chapter is about wealth distribution. It's all about them giving. He talked about the church of Macedonia, how they had so little to give, but they gave abundantly, even though they didn't have it to give. And he wanted the church at Corinth to be the same thing, to practice. And he had assigned his associate pastor there, or minister, Titus, to take this assignment out. So read the whole thing. You see, it was all about them distributing wealth so that no one would lack. Everyone would basically have all they need and then more. That's what kingdom wealth is all about. That's what riches. This is what Jesus died to give us. It's okay for us to have the Lamborghinis or the big house, but it's really all about your kingdom assignment. So why did Jesus become poor? So here's the mind-blowing part, guys. Jesus, who had all the riches of heaven, That's a whole different thing we can teach you about the riches of heaven, who walked on streets of gold, who was worshiped by angels 24/7. He chose to become poor, not just financially poor. He became poor in his position. He wasn't esteemed very highly either here. He wasn't a great pastor of mega churches. He wasn't esteemed very highly. He became poor in his reputation. He became poor in his physical comfort and in his earthly resources. He traded his crown for a cross. Why? So you could have access. I should say you and I could have access to everything that he gave up. He didn't just die to save our souls. He died to redeem your whole life, including the life while you're here on earth, including your finances, including your resources, including your ability to be a blessing to others and to the kingdom. So, what this means for you, what does this all mean for you? If you're a citizen of the kingdom, you're not meant to live in lack. That's a whole nother lesson by itself again. You're not meant to just scrape by, hope for miracles, and survive off of just barely getting by with enough. You're called to walk in provisions, not just for your bills, but for your mission. You're called on a mission in the kingdom. Because let's be honest, it's hard to go on a mission trip if you can't afford the gas. Think about that. It's hard to even fund a nonprofit if your lights are being shut off. It's hard to feed the hungry if your pantry is empty. Jesus just didn't die to make you greedy, guys. He died to make you ready. Ready for what? Ready to give. Ready to build. Ready to serve. Ready to fund kingdom visions without a financial fear of anything. This is what this wealth, this is what this riches is all about, guys. So let's just break some of these religious myths. Help me here. Let's break some of these religious myths. Some of us have been taught that poverty is holy. There were whole orders of different types of people throughout history who believed that they took a vow of poverty because they believed it meant to be holy. That struggle is a sign of spiritual maturity. But I can challenge that for a second. Let me tell you, if God calls himself Jehovah Jireh, our provider, why would he get glory from you having lack? If he says he'll supply all your needs according to his riches and glory, why are we glorifying survival over true stewardship? Hear me clearly, guys. Hear me clearly here. Riches is not the goal. Obedience is the goal. Seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things will be added. But don't reject the resources God provides as part of your obedience. If you're obedient, accept the resources that comes along with it. Wow. So how to access what Jesus paid for? How do we get this? How do we get this? So how do we walk in this unbelievable truth? Number one, renew your minds. Listen to what we're trying to teach you here. Think kingdom. Think with your spirit, not with your carnal mind. Start seeing money as a tool, not a trophy. It's not about being rich for your own ego or for us four and no more, as most of us have been taught that it's just for me and my family. I don't care about the rest of you, what you do. As long as I'm taken care of, I don't care if I have billions. It's all about me. No, it's about being resourced for your purpose. Number two, align with God's principles. In other words, sow generously, steward wisely, speak faith, and obey without hesitation, without delay. Number three, receive what Jesus has already paid for. Stop asking for what is already yours. Start thanking God and walking in it. So, here's the bottom line, guys. Yes, Jesus died to save you. Yes, Jesus died to redeem you. But don't forget this. He became poor so that you could become rich. Not just spiritually, but richly supplied for every good work he called you to do. Don't apologize for wanting more. It's a good thing. It's a good thing to want more. Just make sure that your more has a mission attached to it. So if this bless you, do me a favor, guys. Hit that like button, subscribe, and drop us a comment. We love comments. We love to chat back and forth with you. Just say, I've received kingdom wealth with kingdom purpose, so we'll know what you're talking about. All right, so now I want to just recap. We're coming to the end of this five series teaching. I want to just go over what we've been over real quickly. First, we talked about Deuteronomy 28:13. We're the heads, not the tail. It's okay. We're supposed to be the heads and not the tail. We talked about Luke 12:21, being rich toward God. I hope you got that. If you missed any of these, go back and get all of them, because we need to change the way we think. We got so much more we want to start teaching you practically. We want to start getting you ready to become part of all this kingdom wealth that the world needs for us to have, so that they can have both him and the wealth. Then we talked about Exodus 20:17. Don't covet, guys. Don't covet. Covet means you want what's yours, us four and no more, and you want what everybody else's too. Don't, when you are taking what God is blessing you to bless others with, and there's usually going to be a lot he may bless you with, that $10 million flow through you, only 1 million may be yours. The other 9 that you claim is yours, you're coveting. It belongs somewhere in the kingdom. Don't covet. Then we talked about Deuteronomy 8:18. God gives us power to get wealth. He gave us power to get wealth. So very, very important. So very important that you get that. That's where the ideas come from. And we'll show you as we teach you this. There are not many real great ideas in this world anymore, because people are just taking it all for themselves. You'll learn about this. So important. Then we talked about Isaiah 61:5, and Proverbs 13:22. The world will serve kingdom wealth. The world is supposed to work for you. Work for you. But first, make sure you got this heart of God. So there's just not The world shouldn't let go of one tyrant for another tyrant. It just doesn't work like that. They're supposed to work for you, but you shouldn't be the tyrant. You should not. And last, we talked about 2 Corinthians 8 and 9. Jesus in the atonement. The atonement was not just about you dying and going to heaven. It was not just about your forgiveness. It was not just about your healing. It's all about your wealth and your kingdom wealth. So, my, I guess, final state to you is that you're not called to survive this life. You're called to reign over it and in it. If you're still thinking small, you're missing the whole assignment. If you're still running around saying that, I got my job and I thank you for my job, thank you for my family, this is all I need, I don't need anymore, I don't really want anymore, you're missing everything. You're missing everything. It's time for God's people to rise rich in spirit, rich in vision, and yes, rich in provision, because the kingdom can't afford broke kings. So until next time, walk in purpose, walk in provision, and remember, you were made for more. So next time, guys, we're gonna talk about. We ended this particular series, but we're going to go into a series next on practical biblical systems of unlocking financial breakthrough. We're going to have all types of teaching that you need to be a part of. These are actual, real systems that we are developing, that you need to be developing. We have a system that we're already doing for books, living books. We're developing uh, uh, a book development system. You guys need to learn about that so you can do the same thing. So you can also have this same wealth. We have a friend who wants to develop a lawn care system. I'm going to show you how to literally develop a lawn care system that will make you very wealthy. A practical system. How do you do that? An online course system. Developing your own course. You're going to learn how this actually can work for you. And you can develop online courses of things that you love to do and become rich, wealthy in God's kingdom. We're going to look at develop a network engineering system. For you techie guys who love to deal with network development and networking, we're going to show you how to develop a system that will make you and anyone else that's part of that system rich. And we also have looking at developing a youth development system. Our youth should come out of high school wealthy already. What we mean by serious wealth. We're developing a system for that. And you should be a part of all this development. Can you just think about it? Think about it for a minute. If you belong to a church where all of the members, and I'm looking at developing this system myself for my own personal calling, where all the members of the church, you had 20,000 members, and all 20,000 of them were developing these kinds of systems, and they all were millionaires, 20,000 millionaires, and they all were kingdom-minded millionaires. What impact that one church would have on the world? What if we had 20,000 churches like that? Can you see how this transfer of wealth is supposed to happen? Come with us, guys. Come with us. This has been a long one, but I want you to hear this. And like I said again, remember, you were made for more. You take care and God bless you.